For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of top fuel funny car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back on the air. I'm Joe Castello, and so happy to have you back. And I am so happy that we have made it through the Western Swing. That's right, the NHRA Western Swing from Denver to Sonoma to Seattle. We did it. We made it. We survived mostly, and it was tremendous. And at the beginning, we talked about, like, what would we learn? And now we know. We learned a lot. Like, Bob Tasca is back in the mix, but Robert Hight is still the favorite. Now some things that we thought were gospel are in question, like Matt Hagan. What's going on with those guys? First round, 3 races in a row. Shocker. You know, what the heck? I still have great confidence in those guys, though. Erica Enders, still dominant, but we got a new first-time winner, Troy Coughlin Jr., Tony Schumacher back in the mix. All of these things, we are going to discuss all of them on this show. So share the show, retweet, repeat, all of that if you're a fan of the show. Like so many people out there at Pacific Raceways, while we were out there melting, I can tell you, I'm still totally dehydrated. I have never consumed that much water that rapidly. And I should have had a still suit from Dune, right? I should have been just drinking my own. Anyway, it was really hot, but we survived, most of us. And so tremendous stuff. You're going to hear from Tony Schumacher, on location interview at the winner's circle. The Sarge back in there. Like the Sarge, he's not the Sarge anymore. He's Tony Schumacher, the winningest of all time in Top Fuel. That was a great win. And also a little shocking. I don't think anybody expected them to go out there. I didn't think anybody expected Brittany to go up in smoke, but she did, and that is that. Tough stuff for Brittany Force, coming up a little short in the big sponsors race, but FLAV-R-PAK did a great job out there, and pretty amazing stuff. Troy Coughlin, 1/10,000th of 1 second. You're going to hear from Troy. It is going to be amazing, and Robert Hight also. 2 out of 3. He didn't predict the sweep of the Western Swing, but he said sweep the swing in a statement that was construed to be by many as a prediction. And he won 2 out of 3. Like, that's pretty good. 6 wins on the season, ties his career best. All of that is on tap here today. We're going to talk to the NHRA's Alan Reinhart just minutes from now. We're going to play our on-location interviews. You're going to hear them. Hopefully you'll share the show. Like, what's everybody saying out there? Everyone's like, hello to everyone in Hot Rod Land. Congratulations to the winners. And Jeremy, the season keeps getting everyone on their toes. I said it at the start of the season. Best season ever. I made a bold prediction in my National Dragster column. Best season ever. Get after it. Watch some. And there's ebb and flow and zigs and zags and all of these things. You think Connie is kicking himself for getting rid of David Grubnick? No, I don't think so. I don't think the imagination that this driver, David Grubnick, was also going to develop into this amazing crew chief. Like, you got to go on the journey. You have to go on the journey. And I can talk about that a little bit later. But the difficult times is what makes the person. You know, tough times don't last, tough people do. And so had Grubnick just stayed at Coletta and just been, given a side project, would it have turned into this? I don't think so. Jeremy saying good afternoon. AJ saying what's up? This guy is absolutely correct. Hit the like button. It's making a big difference, by the way, on our YouTubes. If you don't click the like button and do comments and get your own conversation going on, not in the live chat section, but in the comments once we post the YouTube video, it just totally hinders our YouTube. But if you do, oh man, it makes all the difference. WFO at noon. Blake is looking forward to ordering to the deletes of Speed for All. I get what he's saying. Speed for All, baby. Everybody checking in. What's up? All of that stuff. All right, let me tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO every day, on Tuesday of the week. Let me tell you. Like you already heard a little bit about FTI performance transmissions and torque converters, big money bracket racing, .90 racing, looking at all these race cars, FTI stickers on so many of them in the winner's circle. And I do those winner interviews out there. And I always glance like FTI more often than not. Yes, they're located in DeLand, Florida. It's a Paul Lee company. Greg Samuels started this thing over 10 years ago, and they rock it to industry leader that fast. It must mean they have a great product. Check them out, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. Total Seal Piston Rings. They had Rottler on the side of the car this weekend. Rottler and Total Seal have got a great working relationship to increase ring seal. We had 2 Trackside Tech Talks. They were both back. They were both great. TotalSeal.com, the leader in ring seal technology, and there'll be a new Hidden Horsepower podcast up later this week. Phillips-Connect.com, Justin Ashley, decent weekend. Didn't win, but had a decent weekend. Phillips-Connect, smart trailer technology, all the sensors, everything to keep you connected, you and your business, if you're in the transportation industry, regardless of how many, you want to keep them safer out there. And Jim Epler, a leader in this field, Jim Epler has done a great job to bring smart trailer technology to the world of transportation and motorsports. Great job, Jim. And also, new to WFO, Bernie's Speed Shop. Go to Bernie's.com, BURNYZZ, the initial step. Like and follow them on their social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. And they are doing, classic restorations, frame-off restorations. They're located in Ocala, Florida, right near Garlett's. And Bernie's is amazing. Thousands and thousands of square feet of technology. And they aren't only in the classic car restoration business. We'll talk a little bit about that as the year goes on. But welcome to Bernie's, being on WFO. Later on in the show, we'll tell you about samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's drag racing school, and of course, my buddy, Marvin Rodak, which I'm back on the program again. The worst part about being away is not having my Rodak's coffee, and I might even tell you how to become a Patreon later on in the show. But right now, though, let's kick it back out to the winner's circle. Tony Schumacher, 86th career win. Breaks a tie with Bob Glidden. Major milestone. Tony is back in the winner's circle. The first race since the announcement that Joe and Kathy Maynard would take over controlling interest of that Top Fuel team, which, like race 1, are you kidding me? It's amazing stuff. Let's hear from Tony. All right, he's back. Tony Schumacher back in the winner's circle, win number 86. This one was not easy. Eventful day.
It wasn't. I don't think any of them have been easy, but God, you look at that ladder we had, and it's a 140-degree racetrack. Crazy, man. To be able to hold a Wally at the end of a day like this after, running a Brittany Force in the final round, just it's a beautiful thing. These guys that are on my team, man, some of these guys are 20 years old. Never held a Wally in their life. They're new, they're young, they're full of energy, and they've been beaten down, been on the road. The way we've raced the last 6-7 races, for them to be able to hold that Wally and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel will be life-changing for them.
People want to know, I want to know, you're full of confidence. You've always been full of confidence. You've had this great career, right? But then you go to the sidelines, you're out a couple years, you come back, you see all these other teams kind of emerging, and then you get back into it. Like, are we going to be able to do this again? Like, that's my question. Did you ever wonder that?
No. I didn't know how long it would take. And, you can watch the computer, you can look at stuff and go, we're off here. But I've seen this before. I've seen this before with phenomenal crew chiefs that won me 15 races in a year. You know what I mean? Like, there's only a few guys like that, and we still struggled at different times. So, ebbs and flows, man. Kids out there understand this kind of thing happens. Dig, figure it out, work together. Not one of those guys on my team ever felt like they were going to lose their job. They weren't all in trouble. It was just like, we got to figure it out. Keep digging. Throw some solutions out on the table. We threw them out there until we went out and won a race.
Talk about that guy over there, over your shoulder, Joe Maynard, who is a passionate drag racing fan, has now bought into your team. I think it's like 51% or whatever. Your dad is still involved, but just like, this is a new source of energy.
I met Joe, and he said, we were armed, me and Kathy. We want, at the beginning of this year, he says, or last year really, he says, we want to own a team. We'll figure out when and where. And as this thing started going, he said, I just want this, and I want to be part of it. And him and my dad sat down, worked something out, and they said, I didn't need to be part of that thing. I really don't care. I'm happy for them all. They came up with a great solution, went out and won our first race. Joe's, he's going to get to bring a trophy home for Kathy, man. And I guarantee there's a lot of gifts he's given her, but not that.
Excellent. Okay, so what lies ahead, right? Like, is it a breakthrough now? Do you feel like this team is on the road to being consistently competitive?
Yes. I think we're consistently good enough to go out and win rounds. I think we need to go faster to go out and consistently win races. Brittany's got an amazing race car. Torrence still has a great race car. Selena's awesome race car. Justin Ashley, my old crew chief, Mike Green over there. Phenomenal guys out there. Josh Hart doing a hell of a job. You've got Leah with a brand new team stepping up and performing. There's good people out there. So we need to get going. We need to get that thing going a little quicker, a little faster. But we did know that when it got hot, we would have a car to be reckoned with, because it is dangerous out here when it's slippery. We are a good team when it's a driver's race. It's all of us. Go out there and do it next time. Take a week off, spend some time down, and we're going to Mayville, Wisconsin. We're going to be at the SCAG headquarters. We're going to get some tours of SCAG, power equipment, come up with some new contracts for the next couple of years. We're on to Topeka.
Way to go.
Can't wait.
Tony, thank you. Congratulations. Win number 86, Tony Schumacher.
Keep going.
There he goes.
Tony Schumacher, 86, not enough. Going to keep going. I love that. I love him being back like as a winner. Tony Schumacher is back in the mix. That's great. His fans, I feel great for his fans who, I'm a Yankee fan, right? New York Yankee fan. You can tell back there. And there are going to be years where we have a chance to win. And I feel great. Like this year, I feel like we have a chance to win. And then there are other years where we have a chance to win or no chance to win, but they're still out there and I can root them on and enjoy. Tony Schumacher spent 20 years building all these fans and then gone, not out there. What's that about? I experienced it with the Snake in the mid 80s when he decided to take a year off. Not going to race. What? What do you mean? I was a kid trying to get my dad to explain it. What do you mean he's not out there? He's not out there. That's drag racing. He's not out there. Now he's back. Tony Schumacher's got so many fans, and very exciting to see that they've got something to cheer about. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Alan Reinhart a couple of seconds from now. And thank you for sharing the show, guys. I'm like watching the numbers grow. Tony Schumacher comes on there. Let's see how they grow. How about Troy Coughlin Jr.? Troy getting his first win by 1/10,000 over Erica. Let's see.
Our Pro Stock winner, Troy Coughlin Jr. Not his first time on WFO Radio, guys, but first time with a Camping World Series Wally. Troy, all right, lay it on us. How's it feel?
Wow, it's still hasn't really sank in yet, but I guarantee you when my dad and Uncle Jag and my grandfather Jag Sr. calls me, it's going to sink in a little further. So, man, it's hats off to my guys. Man, they worked hard today in the heat, gave me a great race car. Rick and Mark and Kelly and Kyle and Jake and Ricky and everybody at the Holy Elite Motorsports. It's a family, it's a team, a lot of love and passion there, and we're just extremely excited to be talking to you right now.
You seem very patient. Like, we've had a lot of conversations off the record, right? Like in the pit when I'm stealing White Castle and that stuff. And you like super passionate, like patient, and I don't know, you were just taking it as it came. Talk about that.
Patience, something my great grandmother used to say is patience is a virtue. And when you're doing something you love, patience, you got to have it. And you are patient when you love something that you're doing. So, and I love racing. So, of course, I'm going to be patient. I want to keep doing it forever. But, we're just absolutely ecstatic to finally get this Camping World Wally, and we're ready to take it home.
1/10,000th of a second. You said it was the closest race you've ever won in your life.
Believe it or not. I mean, I've had some tight ones in the bracket racing and super gas, super comp stuff. So, but 0001, I don't know that. I mean, there is a slimmer margin, but barely. But that's pretty tight.
Yeah, like 4 zeros, and then you don't see it. What did E say to you on the top end? Did you guys talk?
Oh yeah, I was greeted with a pretty big hug, and she knew how tight it was, and I could hear her the whole way down. So I knew it was going to be a really good old-fashioned drag race. So, very exciting.
All right, what about the future? The old, once you get one, you break through for more pretty rapidly. You've lived that before.
That's the whole patience thing. Just showing up and driving. You got to run the process. Think about the process, and the outcome just happens. You just kind of do your thing. You shoe it, hit the tree, club the gears, and hope your light's on. Just best you can do.
There you go. Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Troy Coughlin Jr. with us here on WFO Radio. You run the process. And don't worry about the results. It reminds me of something I hear, I reference,
from Bruce Lee's book, right? Like, don't think about the results. Just run the process. Think about what you're doing and the results will come. And just so many elements that applies to. The most basic of stuff, lighthearted stuff like racing in sports, what's going on around the world, like in Ukraine. Like, you gotta fight the fight, and the results will take care of themselves. And it's been amazing to watch. Sorry for such an extreme analogy, but that what he said is true in everything. Worry about what you're doing and doing it right. Don't worry about the result. Will I get it? Did I get it? Was it good? Am I happy? Will I be sad if I lose? That is not how to be successful. And amazing to see him get it. Another first-time winner. Final interview, Robert Hight. Robert Hight wins 2 out of 3. There was no prediction. Or was there? No, there was no prediction, but he won 2 out of 3. Here we are. We're live with Robert Hight. Boom. Let me turn around. Let's do this. Guys working in the background. A lot of people don't realize when you win, even if you're the winning crew, you got work to do.
Yeah, these poor guys, they've gone 4 rounds today, and they got to tear down tonight because they have a 36-hour drive ahead of them heading back to Indy, and that's a haul. And then get ready to go to Norwalk, Ohio for a match race, and we're going to do some testing, and then come back to the shop, and then we go for 2 in a row, 2 more. Topeka, Brainerd. So these guys definitely earned their keep, and wouldn't want anybody else behind me. But this team, this Auto Club team, is amazing. I'm so proud of them. And like I said earlier, we didn't have the best 130-degree track temperature combination up until a couple of races ago. Then today, low ET every round. So these guys bust their butts, and they deserve this. I'm very proud of them.
Okay, you won 2 out of 3 on the Western Swing. So no sweep, but you showed that you've got a dominant car. 6 wins on the year, tying your career best with a bunch of races left.
Yeah, exactly. And what's crazy to think about is, if I want to win the championship, we're going to have to win at least 4 more. Okay, it's just the way it is. Crazy, to think that if you have a 10-win season. But that'll get the job done. I promise that'll get the job done.
All right, everybody wants to know, like, being in the fire suit in 100 and whatever degree. It was really hot out here, guys. Like, super hot, and you're strapped in tightly under the body, dealing with that. It's got to be just brutal mentally. Like, how do you deal with that?
It is brutal. When you warm the car up in the pits, now you stick the body on it, so all that radiant temperature is just staying underneath the body. Now I got to climb in this thing. Clutches between your legs. It's hot, okay? And you have a 7-layer suit, and you got to stay hydrated. Like right now, I am whipped, okay? A beer, and it gave me a buzz. Okay, I'm all good now, but it's like, this is for real. And then all those fans, they sat it out all day long in the stands. And it's good to be back at Pacific Raceways. Things are good right now, and but these guys, they work their butts off. They can't go in the lounge and try to cool down between rounds. They one round, I think they were 43 minutes. They were back on the starting line. So it was a backbreaker today.
But you got it done. JR in the final. That's tough because they're coming alive. JR coming alive. A couple other teams. Alexis looking real good. Hagan lost first round 3 in a row, shocking. The swing taught us a lot.
There's a lot of cars that are going to be in this thing clear to the end, and it's a long way from over. We just got to stay focused and do, 1 round at a time. We got to go focus. The next thing is qualify for Topeka, and it's not getting any easier. And it's for darn sure. But there's a lot of good cars. It's good to see JR running good. He's a great driver, good guy. He's fun to race. Plays no games. And when I pulled the chutes at the other end, he popped out there. I couldn't see the wind light on the wall, so I'm yelling on the radio, did we get him? And finally, Chris Cunningham, after he's done celebrating, he tells me that we got it done. So that's a good car. That was a close race.
Robert, congratulations. This counts as your WFO interview. I know you're superstitious about it. It's worked most of the time. Not always, but nothing's 100%.
No, I love it. Always look forward to talking to you, Joe. And you make it easy. It's a lot of fun to talk to you. You definitely get this sport. You can see your passion and how much you love it. And I'm glad you're out here with us.
So subscribe, people. Listen
Definitely.
to Robert.
Do it.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Robert Hight, and the little plug at the end. How about that? And I slipped him a 20 right afterwards. Like, here you go. Robert, it's $20. Thanks for that. Right. And I'm not telling that to anybody else. Right. That was a special deal for Robert. But I like hearing that. You know, it's better than the alternative, right? Like, we don't appreciate your passion and we don't think you do a good job. It's better to hear what I heard. So thank you, Robert Hight. And the Western Swing is in the books. And now let's bring on the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. What's up, Alan Reinhart? How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm slowly rehydrating. I'm not there yet. How about you? Are a desert dweller, sir. You are a desert dweller. You are used to operating on very little water in very high heat range. I, on the other hand, am not. And that was something, man. It was a tough one, but we made it through, and it was a great event.
Well, I mean, I drink a lot of water even in the wintertime, so I just, that's kind of a standard thing for me. But yeah, we did make it through. It was certainly warmer than it normally is up in that part of the world. And then, of course, Monday, the high temperature was, 78 or 79 or something. So,
of course,
the fans and the teams had to suffer through some pretty unseasonable heat in Seattle, and then Mother Nature calmed it right down. But no rain. And I'll take that every single time. If we can race in hot, we can race in cold. We can't race in rain. So Mother Nature gave us 3 good days. The fans came out and drove Saturday and Sunday. The place looked great. And it's just good to be back in Seattle.
Exactly. And, the crowd, right? The crowd, was it good? Was it bad? It depends on your perspective. Looking through the TV screen, you might say, well, there were seats that were available. This is a part of the country where, many people don't have air conditioning at all. And, I went to the 13 Coins with the Jasons a couple of times. The air was broken, right? Like their air conditioning was taxed and broken. People are at home. They're worried about their health. 90 degrees in Seattle is like me going to a sporting event when there's a Cat 4 hurricane coming straight at Miami. Like, some things you just don't do. It was a miracle that we had as many people as we did to come out, given the circumstances for those folks.
Well, if they had offered me $1 per person that came through the gate to watch the race as my pay, I'd take it for the month. And, there's always going to be somebody that goes, well, I saw an empty seat, or I saw an empty section. Yeah, big deal. If you were walking through the pits in between rounds, especially in between the 2 qualifying sessions on Friday, the place was pretty full. Could we have sold more tickets? Sure. Could we? But I was very happy with the crowd. I think Jason was very happy with the crowd, and I don't dwell on stuff like that. I think we went there, we put on a good show. There were plenty of people there. And I think the people that came got their money's worth. It was another one of those things that if Sunday had been your first time that you'd seen an NHRA event, if you didn't think it was cool, I can't tell you that next time it's going to be a lot better, because it was just a good race. We had some big upsets. We had some eye openers. We had some surprise winners. We had some dominant performances. The crazy thing, and I never even looked it up because it never crossed my mind. Did you realize Brittany reset the track speed record?
Well, the 330 and the first 330 that you announced?
No, she'd been 330, but that was the first one of the weekend. But 332 was a new track record. And as hot as it was, I never even thought about it. I'm like, going in, I thought, there's just no way. Pro stock cars are going to be a tenth and a half slower than they've been here when some of the magical moments. Nitro cars, the same thing. But good performances, solid numbers, good racing, and I thought it was a good event. And if somebody wants to tell me there was 3 empty seats, I don't care.
Well, exactly. All right, so let's start off with Top Fuel, since you referenced it, right? Like, I asked Brittany, is this a must-win race? And she gave me they're all must-win races, except they're not, right? Your sponsor doesn't sponsor every race. When you get a chance to win your sponsor's race and present your sponsor with a Wally at the end of their race, it's just different. There's going to be some must-win races coming up. It's called the U.S. Nationals. It's called the one that seals the championship, right? Like, yes, every baseball game is must-win, except you're going to lose at least 60 of them. every race is a must win, except you're going to lose 90% of them unless you're Robert Hight or Erica Enders. But there are some races that are more special. She goes to the final round. I don't know. I talked to a couple of crew chiefs afterwards. What Grubnick was doing was shocking people, and he kind of got everybody on his side to the point that when they failed, when they went up in smoke, that was the shocking moment. And Tony Schumacher with Phil Schuler and Todd Okahara, who was homesick and then finally made it out, they got that win for Joe and Kathy Maynard and just changed the story to something that I felt like was unexpected rolling into the final.
Well, I think the smart money was certainly on Brittany going into the final. When she came out and ran that 75 on Saturday afternoon, I mean, that was jaw-dropping. A lot of us had talked about the fact that the 381 that was the number one qualifying going in on Friday was probably going to stay. It was going to be warm on Saturday. Both runs were going to be in the sunlight on Saturday, and that 381 looked pretty good. And we ran through an entire session and every car until the last couple, and that 381 was it. And she didn't go in there and run 380. She went in and ran 375. And everybody in the place went, I'm sorry, what's that scoreboard say again? And that, when I talked to Max Savage, and I talked to David a little bit on Sunday, but I talked to Max Savage after the run, and he said, we thought we could have run that yesterday. But if you recall, in Q2, or this morning, if you recall in Q2, when Brittany's car went up the starting line, she hit the gas and it shut off. And the Leahy system, something triggered the Leahy system, and I didn't even ask him what it was, but he said, we went up there, he said, we were going to run 75 this morning. We were pretty sure we could do it. And the car shut off. So, nobody even gives them credit for anything on that run. And then they come back and still had enough confidence in their stuff that they went out there and laid down. And they absolutely, positively had the car to beat. I thought one of the funniest things that Tony said, and I love the fact, we've talked before about Tony Schumacher and how he pays attention to everything. He just doesn't ever, you almost never surprise Tony with something that's going on at the racetrack because he just pays attention to everything. And when Robert had come up on the stage in the winner's circle after it was over with, he said, I would have lost money if you'd have told me to bet on that final because I thought Brittany absolutely positively had the car. And Tony said, yeah, I'd have lost money too. I mean, they went up to the start line going, hey, we're going to go up in there and do a bit. But they went up there knowing if she can go out there and run 377 or 378 again, we can't do that. So they weren't trying to do that. They were going up there trying to run their race and see what happened. And, you win a lot of drag races just by making the run you can make and then seeing what happens. And whatever it was, and I didn't speak to either Dave or Grubnick or Mac after the race, I don't know if it was a malfunction. I don't know if they just went a little too hard at it. I don't, smoking the tires that early, I got to believe something just wasn't quite right. But the bottom line is that Tony ended up winning the race. And I've kind of made this analogy a few times before, but my mother used to play competitive bridge, like a lot of bridge. And she said over and over and over again, if you have cards that are good enough to win the game, win the game. And if you don't have cards that are good enough to win the game, sometimes the best play you can make is just sit back and let them give it to you. And the number of times in drag racing when that comes to fruition, make your run. And because how many times have we seen, Alan's racing Joe. Alan doesn't have a big budget. Alan's a part-time guy. Alan, the best he can run is 4 flat. And Joe's out there running 382 every run down the racetrack. Well, if Alan goes up there and tries to run 382, ain't going to work. We all know that. But if Alan goes up there and runs 4 flat and Joe pedals, I win. But the number of times that Alan would go up there and try to run 382 and then lose a pedaling contest or lose when you shook and you rattled and, you ran 420 and ended up winning the run. You just can't let somebody get away with that. And I really believe that was the attitude that Tony's team went to the starting line with. If she runs what she's capable of, okay, we made the final. That's a good day. But don't let her get away with a mistake. And they made a mistake, and Tony's team didn't let her get away with it.
Absolutely. And just some great racing, Justin and Tony, and pedal fests and battles, all kinds of good stuff. But let's focus on Tony now in that big news. Joe Maynard, and it's really like a family. Joe and Kathy Maynard. The guy has been under the bright, hot spotlight of team ownership for a while, out at the track. I've spent a good amount of time, like just kind of hanging out with him on the starting line. Extreme passion for drag racing. He and his wife love the sport so much. And Now they're stepping deeper and deeper into it, and they've bought a controlling interest in this team, and they win their first race. And it's like, are they even ready to understand? Race one, yeah, well, we won it. Like very Josh Hart like. You can't explain that. It's an accident. But when you partner with Tony Schumacher, who is as qualified a driver as there ever was, Joe is very adamant, saying the greatest of all time. Every time he interviews, because I partnered with the greatest that there's ever been. Joe is not afraid to mention giant terms like that, and it's arguably true with Tony Schumacher. But they kind of had an interesting thing happen with Phil Schuler coming on board. Todd Okahara got an illness, right? Had to stay home. Who do they call? Someone who is chemistry with Todd, who's going to execute what Todd wants to do. And they were working over the phone. And a really funny story in the media center about how Tony Schumacher was unaware that you can take control of someone else's computer through like screen sharing. And he was like talking about it. It was the most amazing thing. He took over the mouse and everything. And I'm embarrassing him a little bit here because that's been around for a long time. But those two, they have a chemistry. And I asked him, I was like, hey, man, Phil Schuler, like, what's up with your crew chief deal? He goes, well, I don't know. And he just left it out there. But you say it all the time. The job is so big now that it takes two and sometimes more. Do you think Phil Schuler is the missing piece that maybe puts this team where in contention, where most people expect it to be?
I don't know that Phil wants to. And that would be the question number one. Phil, I know, loves what he's doing with Stevie Fast. And loves what he's doing over on the radial side of things. And some of that they don't have near the schedule that we have. They don't have near the demands on the time. And I think Phil is very happy over there doing that. I think it's a new challenge for him, even though he's been doing it for a while. The opportunity to come back and make a cameo appearance for a couple of weeks, I think was very appealing. But I don't know that Phil wants to come back and do this full time. I think if he did, he would have already been doing it because he's good enough that if he said, okay, everybody, I'm available, he wouldn't have been sitting on the sidelines too long. So does he come back and help out once in a while? Does he? I think that's very possible. But I don't know that Phil wants to do it. Again, like you said, they have perfect chemistry. And Phil spent enough time inside the DSR organization that he's very comfortable with the cars, the parts, the balance, the capsule. There was nothing in there walking into the trailer that he had to go, okay, somebody explain this to me, because he's been so deep in that organization. So I don't know. I don't know if he wants to do it. I think that he would be a great addition if he did want to. And, you mentioned Joe Maynard winning the first race. I told him over the PA when he was sitting on the golf cart after the race was over, I said, sell everything.
Yeah, one and done.
Retire undefeated. Call Don. You can have all your junk back. I'm done. I came in as an owner. I won. I'm leaving. Have at it. And he assured me later in the day that he was not in any way, shape, or form going to do that.
Guys, I really don't understand what's so difficult about this.
Yeah.
Look.
Why do you guys make this look so hard?
This is pretty easy. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see where that story goes. And there's a lot of factors and elements. And I can also let my imagination run wild in that I know Joe and Kathy are going to bring fresh energy. And it's not negative for Don Schumacher at all. It's Don Schumacher brought fresh energy when he came into the sport and changed the way the sport was done for several decades. And now Joe is going to have some different spin and he's going to implement it on his teams. And what will that be? And who will that entail? And will it be a one-car team forever? Or will he, there's the scale of nitro cars where they get less expensive the more you have. I'm really interested and super excited to see what happens with Joe and Kathy Maynard. And I'm just happy and thankful that they're a part of the sport. Tony Schumacher, win number 86, breaks the tie with Bob Glidden moving forward. And I love how, I don't know if you saw the answer, but when I asked him, did you ever feel like, you maybe lost your confidence with work? Nope. Did you ever wonder? Nope. Tony Schumacher is as confident. I knew it would take a while, but we would get there. And we did. And we're not totally there yet. And it was pretty amazing. Doug Coletta's team still continuing that progress. A bunch of interesting stuff in Top Fuel. Any final thoughts? Anything that stuck out in your mind before we move on?
No, just that, the Western Swing, I think, taught us a couple of things. One, seeing Tony Schumacher as a contender again, I think is great. But I also think his answer was exactly right. They're not quite performance-wise ready to be race-winning contenders every week. They won this one, and they'll take it, certainly. but from a performance standpoint, it feels like they've still got a little bit of work to do. I think Leah had a great showing. Not just because she won in Denver, but because consistently going rounds now. The car is certainly running better. I think they're showing progress in the right direction. I'm really wondering how much Matt Hagan's team is testing, because for those guys to go from where they were earlier to 3 straight first-round losses is unfathomable, unless Dickie is working on something. He's got something in his mind going into the countdown. I do remember a number of years ago, Tommy Delago was working with Matt, and I spoke to him since Seattle or Sonoma someplace, and I said, "Man, you're not running very good." He said, "No, I'm fine." He goes, "All my countdown stuff's on the shelf." He said, "I'm working on some stuff, doing some experimenting." He said, I'm good. And then he came back and won the championship. So part of me wonders if there's some experimentation going on over there. They certainly didn't go to Denver going, well, we can throw this race away because, like you just said, with Brittany and FLAV-R-PAK, that's our sponsor's race. But part of me does wonder if they're maybe in a little bit of experimentation mode right now, and they've got their countdown stuff set aside. Obviously, we'll find out come Indy.
Well, exactly. But I don't know. We're testing or not testing. Losing first round 3 in a row is tough. But at the same time, and let's talk funny car, right? The track temperatures are extremely high. And the countdown is not decided on track temps that are typically extremely high. Especially the critical final 2 races in Vegas and Pomona. Those are not usually scorchers. I guess anything is possible nowadays, right, with the weather. So I just wonder, like this part of the year, it's great to get Wallies. It's great to win on 137-degree track temp. But the guys that can run in the cool conditions and can bust out those mid-60s, that's what my memory tells me wins races come those final 2 critical countdown races.
Yeah, I mean, as a rule, when we get that late into the fall, we do have some cooler track temperatures and better conditions. But we could go down to Dallas, it could be 90 degrees. We could go down to Charlotte, it could be very warm down there. They've had some weird weather all year long. And I don't think you could go into the countdown going, okay, well, we're going to run good at the cool races. We don't care about the others. You can't do that. So, and again, I don't know if they're experimenting, if they're doing something. It just seems to me that for that car to make that big a swing, those guys didn't forget how to run a funny car overnight. And they've run on hot racetracks before, and they didn't. So that's what leads me to believe that there might be something else going on over there, that they're, making an investment in the future, so to speak, kind of like what Steve Torrence's team has said they've been doing the first half of the year.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see. And I haven't lost confidence in them as well. And I'm also kind of I don't want to say I'm a numbers guy. You're a numbers guy, but I'm more of a cosmic guy. And if you don't have any tough races, they're coming, right? You're going to have tough races. You're not going to run the table on a season. You've got to have a down point. It's more of a baseball deal, right? There's got to be slumps. There will be a slump. And this is their slump at a time that it's, unfortunate, but not critical.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, we're going to go to Topeka next, which this time of year, as a general rule, is going to be a pretty hot racetrack. Brainerd after that, and that could go either way. Indy the same. I've been in Indy when we were bundled up and sniffling because it was so cold, and I've been in Indy when, you could have put on shorts and a T-shirt and still felt like you were overdressed. So I don't know. We'll find out over the course of the next couple, but I'm expecting Topeka to be another warm one, and we'll see what they do there.
Exactly. One of our listeners is saying that Competition Plus is reporting, and I don't know if I looked real quick at the headlines. I didn't see the headline, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. That a story about Jordan Vandergriff, which I know has been circulating out there. Rick Ware, Dale Coyne, NASCAR IMSA owners, new Top Fuel team expected, debut, U.S. Nationals, Mike Klober, crew chief. Coyne and Ware purchased 2 rigs from Don Schumacher Racing. I've heard this. I would love it to be true. I would love to see Jordan Vandergriff involved in our sport any way, shape, and form. And also for the Tony Stewart factor to expand to other team owners and other motorsports that have not gotten as much spotlight as maybe they could or would or should coming into drag racing. Let's talk about it as if it's true.
Well, bring it. Jordan Vandergriff, I think, is a known commodity, what he's been able to do behind the wheel. Yes, he hasn't won championships and he hasn't won 86 races yet. But if you look at what he's done in the limited schedule that he's had, and he's certainly shown that he can handle the car. So I think that's a good choice. I believe it's in the rumor section of Competition Plus. It came out 3 days ago. I also hope that it's true. I would guess, and I don't know this, but I would guess that if they bought the equipment from Don Schumacher, that they may, like Ron Capps, like Antron Brown, and just work out of John Schumacher's shop. He's got everything there. And if you're going to be leasing shop space for a place for your top fuel team, why not lease shop space at a place where we've got a place to park the rigs here, we've got a fab shop there, we've got a decal shop there, we've got a welding shop there, everything is self-contained. So if that's the case, great. Welcome to the party. Look forward to seeing you at Indy.
Well, exactly. And it just shows you where drag racing is right now. People are realizing bang for the buck, bang for the buck. It's a pro sport. I had this great conversation with Tony after he won out there in Denver, and I'm going to reference it because he just said, he goes, this is like the perfect position between the grassroots racer feel of sprint car racing and the professional level of NASCAR. And it's got the benefits of both right in the middle. And he says, I love where I am. And guys are asking me, like, what is it about that? What is it about drag racing? Why do you want to be there? Like he said, he's being questioned. And I imagine we'll have Tony on the show at some point. And he says, it's that, it's the vibe, it's the feel, it's the fans, it's the atmosphere. And you get the benefits of being a professional motorsport with the vibe feeling and the fan interaction of being at the grassroots level of sprint car racing, where the fans care about the racing and they'll give you some space and they're not crazy and they're not like fame is a bad thing, but it can be tough sometimes. And I love to see some other people getting involved. Let's hope that it's true. And yeah, Bobby, terrible that I'm like scanning and scrubbing and looking all over the website and I can't find it in the rumor mill and it's here and it's there and it's everything. But thank you for the listener for sending us that. And let's certainly hope. But Robert Hight, he made the prediction, but there was a comma in there and whatever. They won 2 out of 3. They went like 10-1 on the swing. That's a bad ride right now in the cool and in the heat.
Well, remember what Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah.
And if they can go into the 6 race countdown to the championship and win 2 out of 3, they're going to be fine because that puts them in a winner's circle 4 times. And I don't even care what happens at the other 2 races. They win the championship. Right now, they have the car to beat. And they had a solid hot rod there, going head to head with John. And that was a big round. JR's car is running better, as you pointed out in the interview. Alexis's car is running very well right now. Those two, and by those I mean Alexis and JR, have both got to be like, oh, I got to get my new Toyota in the winner's circle before he does or she does, and in a friendly way, right? I mean, Capps beat them both there with the Gazoo Super. Capps had a little bit of a rough Western swing, especially the last couple, and through mostly no fault of his own, right? He ran well in qualifying and ends up with John Force round 1, and then he ran okay in qualifying and ends up with Robert in round 1. But funny car right now, and for everybody wants to say, well, there was only 12 cars there. You're right, there was. And they put on a hell of a show. And that's what I'm going with. If you look at the fact we had 1 bye run through the course of the day, okay. But every other run down the racetrack was a good, competitive, solid run, and I'll take it. I think that I don't believe that there was a whole lot of fans that went home going, well, dude, there was only 12 funny cars, and that part sucked. They put on a heck of a show. And literally until the light came on in the final, you didn't know who was going to win the race. They both made good runs down the racetrack. But Robert, as he said in your interview, they had the better car all day long. Low ET every round. And if your plan of attack is for the driver of the Auto Club Chevy to make a mistake, you probably need a new plan because that ain't going to happen very often. And right now they've just got it all going on, and they're going to keep riding the wave. I love what he said, and I talked to him a little bit as well. They're going to Norwalk for the Night Under Fire this Saturday night. Obviously, that is a huge thing. But he said, we're not going up there just for the Night Under Fire. We're going up there so we can make some test runs in the heat of the day. We want to go to Norwalk, and if the track's going to be 135 or 140, we want to go make some test runs because we're still trying to refine this hot combination, and they're using every opportunity to learn. And that's why they're doing so well right now, because they use every opportunity to learn.
Yeah, Alan mentions only 12 funny cars. I watched all weekend, had no idea it wasn't a full field because of the bye. It is what it is, folks. Diesel's expensive. It's a long way up there. The race isn't about the people who don't show up. It's about the people who show up. And I thought it was pretty exciting, and I had a great time. You mentioned Caps. Yeah, tough first-round matchup, right? Caps and Robert, Force and Hagen. That's part of it, too. The way it all just laid out. And, the cars that showed up were all the best cars. And so it was a great day of racing. Alexis DeJoria, that car, going down the racetrack, kind of sporty, and it's getting more difficult to predict what will happen as we get to the critical time. All right, let's go to Pro Stock. Erica and TJ final round, 1/10,000th of a second. Troy Coughlin Jr. now a winner. We've had 2 first-time winners on this swing, and we knew he was going to win. We just didn't know when. Troy's a U.S. Nationals winner. He's driven Top Fuel, A Fuel. He's won in everything for the most part that he's done. He didn't win in Top Fuel, but now he's a Camping World Series winner. He loves Pro Stock, and what amazes me is I've been speaking with him on a regular basis ever since that he got White Castle around. Castello is showing up more often for, random coincidence, of course, but
sure. Yeah, you bet.
Random coincidence, but he's absorbed the wisdom of his forefathers, Jeg Sr. and Jeg and everybody, like the things that they have told him over the years at the dinner table. They're all right here with Troy, and he is just remembering them and applying them. And he's never shown a bit of anxiety about not winning. And it all came together here.
Yeah, when you beat Greg and then you come back and beat Erica, you've had a pretty good day at the office, and you deserve to have a trophy. I thought it was nice seeing Greg back in the number 1 qualifying spot for the first time this year. I think Pro Stock is a better show when Greg and Erica are going head to head, and they both have equal or very close to cars. Erica has had the best car all year, and so Greg stepping up and getting the number 1 qualifier, I thought was good, not just for him but for the class. And then he looked like he had a car that could win the race until it went out there and shook the tires. But it ended up being, another elite day. And what Richard said, Richard Freeman, the team owner at the end, okay, now we need to get Bo's car up to speed. And he said, then they'll never touch us. And he may be right. If they can get all of those cars running at the level that Erica's has been at all year long. I'm pretty sure also that the rest of the field is telling Erica, when's that new car coming? Yeah, so, this would be a good time for you. Why don't you get a new car now? Why don't you break one out now?
Yeah.
And, just see if it's as good as the old one, or if it takes a couple of races to get it squared away. But they've got, they've certainly had some carnage on the Western Swing, but they had a pretty solid Western Swing. Yeah,
good for Troy. Good for Erica. She had another dominating weekend. You mentioned Bo. That's just been terrible. You always joke about an exorcism. They need it over there. But really, though, what I think is that, they're just, every car is different. It's got its own personality. And let's try what's working on Erica's car. Nope. It's not. Let's try what's working on Aaron's car. Nope. And they're kind of running all these different programs to see what it wants, and it just wants something different. And it's just unfortunate for Bo. What did he go? 004, right? The guy's a champion driver, and rattle the tires towards the center line. They'll get it eventually. You mentioned Greg. He was so happy. Greg Anderson is some people don't like Greg from way back. I don't get it. He finds humor in his own humiliation, right? Like, that's something that I think is admirable. Yeah, man, we have stunk it up here. Greg, is that your first going to number 1, first 3-point all year long? And Cody, no, man, we've been sucking. They know how to laugh at themselves when they are having a terrible go of it, but the relief that they performed well, they treated it with humor and lighthearted, and they were happy to be back. Like, to me, that's likable.
Yeah, and, final round in Sonoma, had a car that could have won the race. Went to the semifinals here. They're starting to make some noise. And Greg, he needs to get some more consistency on the starting line, and I think he would tell you exactly the same thing. There's pretty much mathematical proof of that throughout the course of the year. But we've also seen Greg, and he's like every other driver out there, when his car is better, he is better. When he goes to the starting line and he doesn't have somewhere in the back of his mind, okay, did we get right gear ratio? What's it going to do this time? Then he performs better behind the wheel. And I think his car's getting better, and I think as his car gets better, it's going to make him better as well. But, the elite team right now has been running away with most of the season. They've only got a couple of little blotches on their record, and they don't look like they're slowing down, so everybody else better figure out a way to speed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough couple races for Hartford out early, but they made their best run in the first round and just came up short. One of those deals. You fall behind and it's difficult to catch up. You lose by a couple of thou. But Pro Stock is going to be tough. And just thinking about, we're 2 races away from the U.S. Nationals now. 2 races away from Indy. Kansas in a couple weeks, Brainerd, then Indy, then the countdown. It's, if you don't have your stuff together by now, you're not ready to compete at the highest possible level. I feel like you're in a bad spot.
You are. You need to right now be ready to go out and battle for it every week. And I think Greg is. I think that he is in that position. I thought, Dallas Glenn got some good news this weekend as well. So that's good for not only him, but for the entire class. Can the KB guys figure out how to catch? Erica is really the question, because the elite team, as I said, they've only a couple of small blotches on their record this year, and they're not slowing down. So the rest of the guys better figure out how to catch up. One of the things that surprised me, maybe more than anything else in Pro Stock, was the McGaheys. The fact that, they qualified 14th and 15th is like, what? Those two, they haven't quite had the performance that the elite cars have all year, but they haven't seemed like they were that far off. Last weekend, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to talk to Chris. I'm going to make a point to go see him at the next race. But I don't know if they just had some gremlin in the cards or something, but it was very unusual for both of them to be that far off. And knowing them, that's probably going to make them mad enough that they'll go test or go do whatever they got to do to get figured out before we get to the next stop.
All right, I'm going to call this breaking news from someone that I feel like should know. E's new car will be at Topeka, says okay. Mark Stockseth. So, Mark, you consider him a reliable source for WFO radio. Right, exactly. Yeah. Mark, what do you know, Mark? Come on, Mark. Are you involved in this or what, Mark? Yeah.
All right. All right, Mark. Just in case Richard's not watching, and Courtney might be, so somebody, if you really have guts, leave the old car in Oklahoma.
No, don't do that.
Just bring the new one. If you really have guts.
Yeah. Well, but you know what?
The good news is that's the one race they could do it. Because if they had to go home and get it overnight, they could easily do it from there.
Well, exactly. And I think it would probably be pretty smart to get that new car up to, the basics, just in case something were to happen to the supercar right now in the countdown. Like we learned with Torrence a couple of years ago, you have to have a backup that is ready to roll out, because you never know what's going to happen in the countdown, and you cannot be caught flat-footed. Not saying Torrence was, but it was just kind of a different thought process back then. You got to be ready with something that is up to speed in the countdown, or you might be giving away a championship. So I think it makes sense to get some runs under the belt of the new car and get everything, get it down the track a few times. I
agree. And, it's not like anybody at Elite Motorsports needs you and me to tell them how to run a Pro Stock program. But no, you're right. In a Pro Stock car, very, very unusual to debut one that doesn't have any runs on it at a national event. It's not completely unheard of, but it's very unusual. Unlike if you have to roll out a brand new Top Fuel car, a brand new funny car, for qualifying session number 1 on Friday, that happens all the time. Very unusual for it to happen in a Pro Stock. Usually they go someplace and put 8, 10, 20 runs on one to find, at least get somewhere in the variety of or somewhere in the neighborhood of the sweet spot of the comfort zone before you actually race it.
Well, to be fair, it says it will be at Topeka. It doesn't say it will be getting its first runs at Topeka. So knowing the elite guys, they test a lot. Test a lot. So it'll have runs. Now, how many? That's up to them. And Spence says the rest of the class is praying it runs as well as Chris McGahe's new car. And I talked to Chris about that, and he's another guy. Like, TV, it's unfortunate, and I worked with them a little bit. Like the way that they take so many great stories and get them involved at all is amazing. But McGahe comes up to me and he goes, boy, my odds of going down the racetrack are about as good as Joey Gallo's odds of getting a hit. Now, that's a Yankee fan reference to our guy that is just stinking out the joint right ever since we got him. And he's laughing. I go, seriously, though, what's the deal? He goes, man, Joe, I have no idea. We went back to the old car at Mile High. It was working. It was great. And now we just lost it. And nothing we're doing is working. And I don't know. And first round, he went down, but they were just so far behind. But the way that Chris can deal with that and shrug it off and, keep going, right? A lot of people would just like hang it up or walk away or close the garage. He laughs and goes back to work. I think that's drag racer mentality.
Well, when you've been around the sport as long as he has, and he literally grew up going to the races with his dad, it's kind of like the Troy Coughlin syndrome. You've seen it all over and over and over again. And you know that the only thing you can guarantee, if you quit, it won't get better. And so you just keep working until you work your way through it, because if you do keep working, it will get better. You just have to put in the time and put in the effort. He has lived that over and over and over in his life. So they'll just do what everybody else does when they get sick. Just keep battling through it, knowing that you are at some point are going to get back up there, because you know how to do it. We've seen it.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out the path back.
Well, and the Michael Jordan rule, you keep shooting. You trust yourself and you trust the hard work that you've put in, and you keep shooting. And you clank 10, and then guess what? 11 goes in, and that's the game winner. And you got to keep shooting and trust what you've done. And so we shall see. Great race, though. The swing in general made it. And boy, the toughest race was the last race, as it should be. Like, that was brutal. Top alcohol dragster Jackie Frick coming all the way in from Jersey. That Fink Equipment machine comes out there, gets it done. Jake Guadagnolo and Top Alcohol Funny Car. I'm a bracket racer. I don't even know these guys. They asked me to drive the car. I said, yeah, I could drive it. Let me get 12 reaction time. He's got a trans brake. Good move. Good job. The guy is interesting, and he's an interesting character. Comp Eliminator Ryan Pretty, Rod Stultz in Super Stock, Jody Lang in Stock, Dylan Haug, first win, Super Comp, Randy Side, Super Gas, first win, Tony Hopkins in Super Street, Sean Earps goes back-to-back in Top Sportsman, Tom Bayer goes... He didn't.
No, I did. Sean went to the final in 19. Doug Bracey won the race, and then Sean won the race this time. I actually got a note from Chris Bracey, Doug's wife, that said, hey, what, no respect? And I went back and looked, and when I was doing my notes, I looked last final and somehow jotted it down as last win. So that's 100% on me. But Doug Bracey won it in 19. Sean goes to back-to-back finals and won the round. So I don't, it's not like he had too bad a day last time we were there, but he didn't.
No. You know what, Alan? Here's the thing, okay? I have complete trust in you and your stats and your knowledge.
My stats are perfect. It's my handwriting that sucks.
Well, but so here's the thing, okay? In the future, I am going to continue to trust you, even in spite of this. And I said to a whole bunch of people that it was back-to-back, because it doesn't matter, because I continue to trust you. So for everybody out there, if you ever hear me make another mistake, you can just assume it is Alan who fed me false information. Let's just do that.
That's fine. That's probably the truth also.
Listen, there were all kinds of weird back-to-backs going on. Tom Bayer won Sonoma, won Seattle. That guy is on rails. And Daniel Connor won the Junior Dragster Shootout. Any final thoughts on Seattle and the great race that it was, and the Western Swing in general?
Just that it was a great Western Swing, other than a little bit of rain in Denver that, shuffled the schedule around a little bit, but didn't really, didn't cost us a day, didn't cost us a lot of time. The sun was shining most of the time, and we had sunny skies at the racetrack is my happy place. So, no, it's, we put this one to bed. Most people will get a week off. I do want to throw out a shameless plug, though, because I think I'm making a little bit of history tomorrow.
All right. Do tell.
Tomorrow evening, I'm going to be on Sirius XM NASCAR radio on Sirius XM Speedway to promote a Lucas Oil race. The Chicago event that's coming up, reached out and called in a favor or two and had some stuff. And Dave Moody said, I think we can make this happen. So 6:30 tomorrow Eastern, 3:30 on the West Coast. I'm going to be on Sirius XM NASCAR talking about Chicago, and really looking forward to going back there. I did a bunch of local media, did one this morning. I recorded a couple that are going to be played tomorrow in the market up there, kind of encouraging people that if you want your racetrack to open back up, come out and show people you want your racetrack to open back up. They're expecting to have about 500 cars there for a big Lucas Oil drag racing event. If you're in the Chicago area, come see us. And we're hoping that this event will pave the way to the Camping World Series returning there at somewhere in the future. Maybe next year, maybe as soon as that, but definitely somewhere in the future.
And when is that happening, Alan? Let's make sure everyone. First of all, we've been talking about this a lot on WFO. I think Mr. Moody is great for doing that, and certainly there is cross pollination there and a starved fan base for motorsports. People in Illinois love it. So for everyone in WFO, I think this is worth a 3-hour drive at very least. So explain this, right? Like 3 hours, you got a lot going on this weekend. I understand, but this one is sort of a more important thing. This is to relaunch the drag strip. You should definitely bring signs. Thank you, Reinhart, all that. Carry your signs, show your passion. Where and when? Tell them, Alan.
Well, Route 66 Raceway in Joliet is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, obviously, is going to be time trial qualifying. The alcohol cars will run once on Friday. The alcohol cars will run twice on Saturday. I believe first round is going to be Saturday evening, and then we'll finish the show on Sunday. Tickets are $20 Friday, $22 Saturday, $15 for final elimination Sunday. Parking is free. Kids under 12 get in free. So come on out, check it out, and it's an incredible stadium. It's a great racetrack. That's one of the things that I spoke with everybody I've spoken with. They said, "Well, tell us about the stadium." And well, the stadium's nice, but the most important thing at a drag strip is the racetrack, and the racetrack is spectacular. You think of all the records that were set there over the years when we were going there with the Nationals. So it's going to be a good show. It looks like the weather's going to be like low to mid 80s. So come on out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at least one day. Please come out, support your racetrack, and hopefully we'll come back rolling in there with a Camping World event, maybe next year, but certainly at some point in the future.
Or don't ever complain about a drag strip going away, because this is an opportunity to vote to keep a drag strip. You show up, you have fun, you enjoy it, you show the people, the powers that be, that this is viable in this area. You've already got the hard part done. If you're going to build that track right now in 2022, Alan, like let's play pretend, right? Hey, Alan, let's spend some money and build a track that is exactly like Route 66 Raceway right now in 2022. How much money do you think it would take to get that job done from scratch?
All of it.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. It's already in existence. It's already there. It's a super track comparable to ZMAX Dragway and Vegas, and it already exists right there in Illinois. And all we have to do is show the people who own it that we are ready to support it. Simple as that. Let's go. Do it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I've been working with Will and been working with the people at the track and some others about doing some promotional stuff and doing some other things. So I will be winging my way to Chicago. Looking forward to going back and visiting the town. And man, I hope this does pave the way, because if you look at what's been going on in NHRA the last couple of years, Atlanta just got swallowed up by urban sprawl. Houston, they're saying Phoenix next year, probably going to be the last year there. We need places to race. And as Joe said, this place already exists. So let's just convince them. You just need to unlock the gates and let us come back. We'd love to come up there and put on a show for the Illinois fans.
Exactly. Alan, great job as usual. Good times hanging out with you for 3 weekends in a row. Enjoy your time out there at Route 66 and, share some pics and, I'll retweet them and all your, NHRA Reinhardt handle and hopefully everyone will spread them around. And, guys, this is about supporting drag racing, not supporting one person or one sanction. It's about the sport and the people who participate and spend money to do it. So if we can't all get behind this, there's a problem. This has got to be one we got to get together on.
I agree. And I think, that I follow NASCAR. I have a lot of friends that make a living over in that world and a lot of stuff. And you look at what they've done with North Wilkesboro, right? That place is now open and looks like it's going to be viable, and it's been sitting, growing weeds for however long. Well, Route 66 is not as far gone as North Wilkesboro, but it's just as closed. So let's convince them we need to reopen this track. We need to come back up there. We need to start holding events, not just for NHRA, but for the racers in the Chicago area. They've got a spectacular facility that they would love to support. We just need to get it open back up.
Simple as that. All right, Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to you soon.
There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio, going back to when I was doing a show on XM satellite radio and NASCAR radio way back then in like 2005. Yeah, it has been a long, long time. In fact, that was the first nationally broadcast NHRA drag racing show. Do you guys know that? Yeah, it's a little bit of a milestone. first nationwide drag racing specific show, first NHRA specific mobile app. We don't keep track of those historic firsts that happened under the WFO radio umbrella, but they're out there. Someone in the future may do that research. But, guys, Alan got me thinking, okay, like we've got this very interesting sport and everyone is in the same thing together, but they're also competitors. There used to be times where I would have a driver from one major team on at the same time as another major team. And I'm not going to say which teams, but two top-level drivers from two teams that are rivals. And this is when I started WFO, or even when I was doing, some of the satellite stuff. But see, the satellite stuff was on prior to the existence of iPhone and social media. So take that with an understanding that it's actually been a great source of frustration over the years. That when I was doing that, I had no way to take my audience with me. Like that didn't exist. Like Facebook was just kind of starting. iPhone was just coming out. It wasn't mass adoption. Twitter had just launched right before we ended up leaving and starting this podcast. Podcasts early on were not, the understanding of how to make them popular and how to launch them hadn't really occurred just yet. And the people who were super successful were people that were able to say to their large mainstream audience, like think Adam Carolla, right? He was doing a morning show in Los Angeles and he had several weeks to say I am going to get blown out of here. I am going to launch a podcast. Follow me to my podcast. You can get it here. And they were able to do that. And they just kind of went over there, right? At WFO, we never had that opportunity. We just, the technology wasn't there. We were restrained by my former employer. This is over a decade ago. So our audience here at WFO, whatever it is, and it's in the, now the tens of thousands, and I'm proud of that, right? According to the counters on the podcast generators, which is, do you trust them? Do you not trust them? Here's what I trust. I trust that every race, I've got countless people coming up. WFO, thank you. I watch, I listen. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you. You get me through the week. I mow lawns. And without the podcast and without the live stream, I would be more bored than I am currently. Thank you. That's what my metric is. All the other metrics. But man, it would have been so much easier if we had been able to build up a, hundreds of thousands Twitter handle and then just say, oh, by the way, podcast, see you later. We didn't. It wasn't in the cards for us. But we're doing what we're doing. And I think it's going pretty well. But when you share the show and you tell your friends about the show, it's super helpful for the show. That's how we grow. Mass marketing doesn't happen with WFO. We are the mom and pop store going up against big, giant, massive corporations out there. And I think we're fighting the fight and we're doing pretty well. But I told you that story to tell you this one. Back when we would have drivers that were on the super teams on, driver A from Super Team A, driver B from Super Team B. This is in the beginning of WFO in the social media field. I would put out the show and here's the link with this person and this person. And it wouldn't get shared and it wouldn't get retweeted and it wouldn't get promoted. And neither would mention that it was on. And I would always be a little confused. What? Wow, man, this driver just did a great interview and no one else is doing the interview. This is prior to all these other shows, right? Why don't they share the show? And they wouldn't share the show. And I found out this much later from different people who worked on the inside. Well, we can't share something that includes that other team and vice versa. So it was a self-defeating premise. I won't share something that includes my arch rival, even if it benefits me, which is ultimately a negative, right? You could choose to share something that includes your arch rival at the possible peril of promoting your rival and yourself. That's an option. Maybe they'll hear me and they'll think I'm cool, but they might hear my rival and think that he's cool, and that will be bad. But we both get promoted. Or the other choice is we won't promote ourselves or our rival, and that way there's no risk to promoting our rival, and they think that the rival is cooler than us. And I battled that for a long time. That was we changed the show often, eventually learned and changed the show. And that was kind of part of segregating drivers to their own show, because then there was no disincentive to sharing it, to promoting it, to pushing it out there. And that was actually a big deal years ago now. I think we've gotten beyond that, hopefully, mostly. But that was a problem that we had in drag racing. It's the drag racer mentality. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to help my rival, my opponent. Which brings us to Route 66 Raceway. You know, it's you got a lot of big stuff going on in that part of the country here this weekend. You got Night Under Fire, Norwalk, Chicago. They're close. I want to see them both be successful. What helps drag racing? Like, there's a spike over the heart of a racetrack. And showing up, talking to your friends, promoting the race, going to the race, being there, carrying a sign that says WFO or whatever you want, that says save this track. It's in your hands. You know, I live in Miami, Florida. You know, Reinhart is going to be out there. If you're in the area, go to the race. Go to the race. Or retweet a tweet about the race. Or share an ad for the race. Take it unto yourself to support drag racing on this one. Well, you know, I don't make any money for that, whether or not that track stays open or not. No, you probably don't. But the sport of drag racing will be healthier if the track does reopen. If they realize, wow, we've got a viable deal. Obviously, get rid of some of those massive grandstands. Like, get rid of them. Build a common area. Like, I've already looked at the artwork of the track. Get rid of this and put an observation deck. Pull out, 20,000 seats. Pull them out. Get rid of them. It's got like 38,000 seats there. Just grandstands. Sell them. Make a deck, an observation deck, a cool area with speakers and a bar and people to hang out and watch, common areas. The speed zone. Sell off some of those grandstands. Like hey, man, we had a great race. We had 20,000 people there. Too bad it looked empty because they built this massive stadium in 1998 that was too big. So it doesn't matter how good an event you have there. It looks like you didn't. And you can fix things over there pretty easy. And drag racing is definitely more popular now. You got more series. You got TV shows that would love to shoot there. You've got things that are happening that you could get involved in that didn't exist back when that track first came around. Everybody says, Joliet, it's kind of far. Well, I guess it is, but Gainesville's kind of far. Gainesville's pretty far from anything other than a university. Gainesville's hour and a half from Orlando and an hour from Jacksonville and however many hours from Tallahassee and 5.5 hours from Miami. And yet somehow Gainesville exists and thrives. It's not about how far it is. It's about what you do with it and how you use it. And do you build a program there? And do you make your fans and racers feel appreciated and reliable? And that's all possible. See, that track was, NASCAR owned, and they have a different style and business model, but their eyes and ears are open. And isn't it sad? It comes down to this weekend and whether or not fans take it upon themselves, like Woodstock, to go and have this one be the one they support. Well, John Force isn't going to be there, right? I don't know. I would have loved to have seen a nitro team at their own expense go out there and put on an exhibition run to save the track. Like, I don't know. Not my money. It's easy to say stuff, right? But instead of lamenting what people didn't do, let's talk about what people did do and are doing. Reinhardt's going to be there. They're going to have all kinds of fun. They're going to have, nitro fuel dragsters, A-fuelers, blown alcoholers, funny cars, alcohol funny cars. Just no Camping World Series. It's a divisional race. Plus the stars of the Lucas Oil Series, which, frankly, one of the things that I get the most is like, you should feature the Lucas Oil Series more. Okay, here's a race right in the middle of the country. That's all Lucas Oil Series. You should show up. If you're within a 2-hour drive, you should show up. This is not about going to one event for a little good time. This is about sending a message to the track operators, to the world, that drag racing is appreciated, it's viable, it's got a fan base, it's right there in the middle. Where are you going to go this weekend? It's going to be hot, guys. Oh, well, it's awful kind of hot. I don't know. Yeah, it's awful hot. It's awful hot. This is your chance to protest something, except you get to go to a drag race and just be there. Protest. Everybody's protesting these days. Your protest is go to a drag race and have a great time and enjoy and watch Lucas Oil Series cars battle at 280 miles an hour. That's the way for you to support something you care about. Do it if you can. Do it if you can. I'm not saying, leave your kids at home unsupervised. It's not what I'm saying. All right, let's get comments and I'll tell you about who can do WFO, who supports us, our people. Right? Simple as that. I'm scrolling back now, guys. I love how if they reopen Chicago, we'll do our best to travel and make an appearance there. Well, simple as that. Exactly. Blake says, it was nice to see Tony win this past weekend. Blake, it was nice to see you out there at Bandamere. That was a good time. Hope you had a good time. Jim, I saw Bradenton got new concrete and upgraded some bleachers. Yeah, Bradenton has spent a lot of money. Kind of has me wondering, why? Could that be a divisional race? What's the deal with Bradenton? I love Bradenton. Bradenton's 3 hours and 15 minutes from my door, right? I can get to Bradenton and Orlando in about the same time, towing. I need some viable drag strips within that range. And, for those of you who are asking me to put my money where my mouth is, right? Earlier this year, we went up and battled the city commission to save Palm Beach International Raceway. And if you didn't see those stories or read those stories, that's on you. A lot of local racers went up there on their own time and did very uncomfortable things like making speeches in front of commissioners to save a track. All we're asking is that you go and enjoy a track. Joe, you do a great job whenever Fox puts you on the air. I wish that you were a full-time top-end reporter. No slight to Jamie and Amanda, though. Yeah, well, so here, let me just say that. I had a lot of people reaching out to me on text and Twitter. I think addition by addition. I would love to do that. There should be no subtraction there. Both of the two people that you mentioned, Amanda and Jamie, I consider friends. I have the most respect for their abilities, and there's no negatives as far as I'm concerned, right? No negatives. But, hey, I want to play too. I think addition by addition. Here's the deal. I'm the call to the bullpen guy, right? Like, there's a travel issue or something. And just like a bullpen guy, it's kind of tough coming in, no reps, get in there right in the middle of the game and perform. I'll be eager to go back and look and see how it turned out. From the text messages I received, it was above the threshold, right? The pass-fail threshold. Feel like it was a pass. This guy's looking forward to Topeka. Yeah, I'm looking, give me a day to rehydrate. Good day, y'all. See you soon, says Mopar Man. Awesome, Billy. Only 23 thumbs up on this, 61 people watching. First of all, it's been more than that. We need more thumbs up. Eddie, thank you, Eddie, for working the algorithm for us. People don't understand the algorithm. I'm watching the number bump up, right? And just hit, and one goes and one comes. New one goes, new one comes, right? These social media companies, whatever. That's why you need to subscribe on the YouTube, guys. Comments, likes. That's why at the end of every YouTube video, somebody is telling you, smash the button, do the thing, because they're all trying to game the YouTube algorithm. Conversation in the comment section makes all the difference in the world. I live in northern Indiana. I do to go to Chicago for the divisional or Norwalk for the Night of Fire this weekend. Oh, do I? It's 3 hours each way. Wow, Lane, I don't want to tell you what to do, brother. I just made a impassioned speech. Everybody tells me the Night Under Fire is an amazing spectacle, right? I've never been there. But I can tell you this, Night Under Fire will be there next year. It's going to be there next year. Will Chicago? I don't know. So I'd go to Chicago. That's what I would do. I would go to Chicago. I would go to Walgreens or whatever your local grocer/pharmacy is. I'd get a nice white poster board. I'd write a sign because signs make a difference. Signs. Why do you think like WWF was so popular? Because everybody had signs like, oh my God, look at all these people trying to make some sort of statement. Bring signs, save our track, go out there and kindly talk to anybody who will listen that we need this track. H2O and WFO. Yeah, no doubt. US 131 is a big event too. Yeah. Yeah. Like everybody this weekend is trying to, like Chicago has got it's a tough task this weekend, right? I hear the Nitro Ninja is going to be up there. It's going to be with, no one has announced. Nobody has told me who's driving the Ninja. I heard. See, like that would have been a good thing to tell somebody. But in this case, if you're equidistant or even slightly US 131 is going to be there, you've got a chance to save Chicago. US 131 is way up in Michigan. I don't see it competing for people with Route 66, personally. I've been there. Really nice. Hello, if you need real and high-quality service to increase your viewers, stream. Thank you, Table F. That's spam is what that is. Saturday in the Northern Nationals, Dell, Krista, Spencer, Pritchett, and Top Fuel. All right. Said it before, if you bring a friend to an NHRA race, you'll have a friend for life, and NHRA will have a new fan. Live drag racing. And last time I saw you, Eddie, you were there alone. Just kidding, man. I'm not a huge fan of No Prep Kings, but they could fill a ton of seats by holding an event. They could. I don't think they're filling Route 66 Raceway, though. But yes, right. If that track survived, they could definitely do an episode there. That definitely. Right. Then that's a nice big payday for everybody involved. There's one. And there's NHRA and there's, PDRA and there's all these different things going on. Why not save the track? Use it or lose it. Simple as that. Or get off the pot. Great show. Thanks for talking about Route 66 this weekend. Was a ticket holder since the track opened. We'll be there. Thanks, Frank. Bring a sign. Great show, AJ. Spence, I stand corrected. Johnny won't be in Kansas. Hit the like button, folks. Way to go, turn. It's YouTube. Is the Ziz going to run anywhere this year? Ziz has got a new chassis, and they're converting everything from their old chassis to the new chassis. I spoke with that, a great prolonged conversation with Mike Kern. They're super excited. They've got the latest, greatest modern technology, and he thinks it's going to be a big benefit. Krista Baldwin at US 131. Oh, it's going to be in the Ninja? I don't know about that. I need more information, and I'll get it as soon as I'm off the air. Hey, big thanks to our sponsors. We're talking about like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com, where you can drive a dragster. We had one of our listeners 1 year ago do the Dragster Adventure, and he loved it so much that he bought a car, he built a car, and he raced it recently and went to the semifinals. That's what it does. It gives you a true understanding of what's going on. Go to frankhawley.com, check out their website, find out when they're coming to a track near you. samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. For machinists, learning how to do a job like that under a shade tree is really no longer the best idea. There's a better way. And it's samtech.edu, hosted in Houston, Texas. Brian Massengill. Go to the website, call them, ask for Brian, tell them you heard about it on WFO, and start your pathway to a career that you'll love. This past weekend, encountered so many people who were retired from Boeing, right? Good job. Samtech graduates go to Boeing. They go to SpaceX. They go to NASA. They go to race teams because they are known commodity who puts out smart kids who know how to get the job done. And they're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. Samtech.edu. Marvin Rodak. This is going to make your life better the second you get it with Rodak's Coffee. 817-924-6821. Coffee. I get full bean, guys. To me, the grinding it is what makes the difference. You can get it ground already, but you can get a grinder off Amazon for $11. And then you're like a mad scientist. All right. It's less than a mad scientist, but you're filling a grinder with beans and you're grinding them. That's fun. And then you put it into your coffee maker and you can switch up your coffee every day. 817-924-6821. Get the habanero endorphin booster hot sauce as well. You'll love it for a lifetime. Our Patreons, these are VIP members. They support the show. There's something about this show that they decide that, it's worth supporting. Like we're going to do some behind the scenes stuff for them. And we're going to do a meetup in Indy and a meetup in Vegas. And it's like joining a community of friends. You do not have to do this, but I make you aware that it's happening. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. You can go to our website, WFOradio.com, find out more information. And you can sign up and then you can cancel if you are dissatisfied. It's not a lifetime thing. Phillips Connect. These guys, first of all, they are in the, you got the top tier of championship contenders. which is Brittany Force and Mike Salinas. But it's really like contender 1A, contender 1, Brittany, contender 2, Mike Salinas, contender region 3, Justin Ashley's in there. And they're getting better. And Mike Green seems to have some things figured out. So I'm super excited about them. But what I'm more excited about is their smart trailer technology for everybody that we know that's over the road in the transportation industry. Sensors, and obviously they're connected to the internet to let you know where your vehicles are. If there's a problem with your vehicle, like, oh man, there's a wheel hub heating up and you're about to blow out a tire and cause a major accident on a major highway in front of thousands of people. Truck 47, we need you to pull over. That's what it does. Keeps you safe. It's vital. Phillips-connect.com. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Total Seal. We talk about the podcast all the time, but really, if you're an engine guy, an engine builder, a bracket racer, a stock eliminator racer, someone who builds engines for others, and you've got this system that you've been using for a long time and it works for you. Oh, that's great. Technology has changed. There's a better way, a way that's going to give you more power, a way that's going to be more reliable, a way that's going to fix your engine break-in process and make it more reliable. Like, you break in an engine and how quickly does it seal up? Total Seal has got this down to a science, and they're sharing that information with their customers. TotalSeal.com. Check them out. Had a good time hanging out with those guys. And FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. Bracket racers, big money racers, top sportsman, top dragster, and streetcar guys. Do you have a high horsepower streetcar with an automatic transmission? FTI should be your go-to. They've got that thing covered. Not just drag cars, by the way. They're like mega trucks. You've heard of monster trucks. What's bigger than a monster truck? A mega truck. It's giant. We're talking thousands of horsepower and thousands of pounds. What kind of automatic transmission moves those things around? FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. Amazing stuff. Call them. They're located in DeLand, Florida. Finally, since we're cornering the market on Florida, I just noticed that. What's up with that? Bernie Speed Shop, Ocala, Florida. FTI, DeLand, Florida. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Florida, Florida, Florida. We're available to non-Florida companies, guys. But Bernie Speed Shop, classic restorations. This is Josh Hart's passion play. They started out of a small shop. They've grown to a giant shop, and now they do work for all kinds of different people. They make movie props. It's an amazing speed shop. Thousands and thousands of square feet. And they're located in Ocala, Florida. Go to the website, go to their social media, follow along. That's step 1 for WFO listeners. And check them out. Thanks to Josh. BURNYZZ, Bernie's Speed Shop. American Classic Horsepower. Thank you, Bernie's. All right, let's see what people have to say. Before we get up on out of here, what we're going to do is we're going to bounce on out of here. And this is we're not doing tomorrow. I'm going to give my voice a rest. But maybe later in the week. Unfortunately, the WFO universe has been trained to know that, like, the show can just pop up out of nowhere. You never know what'll happen. All right, so I want to talk about Jordan Vandergriff and that deal. Okay, so we did not cover the last, Bachelorettes thing because Jordan got bounced off of there. And, I'm not happy he got bounced off, but I'm happy he got bounced off, right? Like, because that, in my opinion, Jordan, I know the guy and he's such a good guy. And it's like, it's not my thing. And based on the feedback from the audience, not too much of our people's thing. But boy, is he popular now. You follow Jordan on social media. He's got a legion of, screaming girls that are ready to chase him around like the Beatles. And of course, he's posting pictures of himself, shirtless, whatever. But in the end, he's going to be driving a top fuel car, and rightfully so. This is what he does. And that whole Rick Ware deal, like, I want to see the official press release. You know how I am about rumors. And whether the rumors are pervasive and everybody is talking about it or not, give us a release so we can talk about it. So we can hype up Jordan and that team. Rick Ware was out at a race last year. I think it was Denver last year, nosing around, checking things out. Told us he started his career off as a drag racer, would love to be in drag racing. So why not? Jordan Vandergriff would be a great person, a world-known personality, thanks to this show, The Bachelorettes. Do we love the show? No. Do we love the result of the show? Okay, here's what I wanted. Krista will be in there, but Gary is going to be driving the Ninja. That's what I thought. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Nikki. That's the rumor I had heard. And so it's going to be Krista versus the Ninja up there at US 131. That's kind of cool. Love that Gary is getting a little time too. But I think that's great for Jordan Vandegrift. We need more fuelers, but more importantly, more teams. And this Joe and Kathy Maynard thing, if you can't let your imagination run wild, like you really think Joe and Kathy Maynard are just going to be satisfied with one car and just like the scale of the fuel car, adding cars, like after you get past a couple, they get cheaper. So let's see what happens. Let's let it grow. I'm hearing talk of a no prep top fuel call out. Well, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. Keep up the good work, Joe. Thank you for pinning. Anybody who like this whole, no prep thing, like guys, it's a supplement to the whole drag racing universe. It could never be the only thing. No one thing can be the only thing. They're all parts of a bigger piece, a bigger puzzle. Okay? I'm so tired of people like pitting one form of drag racing against another form of drag racing as if one is going to just succeed and the others will all fail and go away. That's not going to happen. Go to the Chicago race. That's all I have to say. Keep up the good work. Thank you for pitting in the time. Yeah. Palmer is legend. Yeah, Palmer is legend. Palmer is legend. I like it. Love Palmer. Part of my new NHRA National Dragster column, which you get if only you're a member, references Scott Palmer and his whack pack. Going bracket racing only uses total seal in all his builds because he is smart. Alex has a statement coming. Well, send it, man. There's a statement coming. That's awesome. Great show today, as always. Total Seal Mat support veterans. Yeah, absolutely, they do. They did this past weekend. Great show today, as always. Bachelorette Nation loves him. How could they not? She's like, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. With this guy, he's super nice and he's great. And it just, I'm not feeling it. Whatever. And it's like, X to the next. Thank you to all the racers stepping up at the Host a Veteran Challenge. Matt Hartford hosted event. Well done, sir. Well done. Thank you. Palmer match race. Yes. We're all aware. What happened to Audrey Wormtop fielder team? That's, I don't know. That's a good question. Good question. I'm excited to find out, though. And WFO will be there. WFO will be there. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much. This was fun. I plan to get on here and do a short one, and then I get thinking about Chicago and thinking about people I don't want to support that because it might hurt me. It's a big one to support. We need tracks. You want to have this amazing sport that we all go to? We need tracks. Denver, Sonoma, amazing races, Pacific Raceways. First time back since 2019. I think they did a pretty good job. What held people back? The weather. It was hot. And not Florida hot. Everyone's like, oh, this is what you're used to? No, it's not what I'm used to. This is way hotter than it ever gets in Florida. You'll be on the tip of Miami. It's never that hot. We've always got a beautiful ocean breeze, coming in, carrying cool air at all times. The downside is the humidity. But never experienced disgusting heat like that. It was gross. Going into places, air is broke. People are exhausted. Nice restaurants. They didn't know what to do. Anyway. All right, guys, that's going to do it. There will be an Ignition show. We're going to try to do that tonight for the Patreons. The Ignition audio only podcast. Yeah, we got to do something that's audio only to keep you on the podcast feed. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. We're going to talk about, obviously, the Ferrari Formula One epic fail. Epic fail. Miami Dolphins just lost the #1 draft pick. We'll get into that. We talk sports, everything, including drag racing. Bunch of drag racers on there. Audrey just had a baby. That's nice. Congratulations. So what's your homework? Make your plan to go to Chicago this weekend to support saving a drag strip and bringing back a first-class facility to the national event level. That is what you should be trying to do. All right, guys, thanks to Alan. Thanks to our drivers. We'll see you next time. WFO.